Hey, how's it going, everyone? So today we're going to go through the ship design of the Lumeris. Obviously this is the exploration ship, the Caravel, so it's just quick. It's got armor plating and one weapon. Now the reason you don't see any probe launchers on this is because this is at a later point in the game. So in Ships Design Basics we went over, these guys are your exploration ships, they probe, but they could be really effective scouts. So if you add, it's very fast already. It's an Explorer, +2 movement on ship. Each one of these gives it another 4. So we've got a 12 movement ship. Now it sucks, you're going to lose them. But they would allow you to do some advanced scouting. These are really cheap to build. You can build, I don't know, handfuls of them. Right? And you could place them throughout your enemy systems as far as they could go until they get challenged. And then you can use those as your scouts to see any incoming fleets and really be prepared for what's coming next. And with the Lumeris, that's a very good idea because they don't have the best ships for a military engagement, in my opinion. They're okay. Like, let's start with the junk, their protector. They typically don't have very many weapon slots compared to their places, so I'm trying to take advantage of that as much as I can. Actually, I think I would swap that out for those. So basically, I don't know. So if this ship's moving with a fleet, you don't want this ship to get targeted because he's our little siege guy. He's got some missiles so he can help at long range. Some kind of support slot that can only be placed on, if you look down the bottom left, this can only be installed on square ship. So it's the defensive ships, Guardian, stuff like that. So the only 2 defensive models in the game can use those for each race. So move on to the brig. The brig is got some more weapons, but it's still fairly low powered compared to other small ships. So the goal with the Lumeris is to overwhelm them with numbers, because you can just purchase the numbers with how much dust the Lumeris can make. So we've got some basic defenses. Kinetic enhancer, since this is an assault ship, to really give us some more damage, and this is to lower the chance of evasion. So if you're using this in conjunction with larger ships, you don't want those taking hits. You want the larger ships taking the hits, this guy dealing the damage. Now you'll notice I also have guns and missiles. I have found that to be a good combination, because, and if you were doing lasers, you would just do the lasers and then a beam. And that's because sometimes combat's 3 lanes. Technically they're 3 lanes, so you can see that from the overview. There's a overview view in a fight, and if you win a fight in one lane, then not all of your weapons can typically reach another lane. So having at least one long range means that that if they overwhelm one lane and one lane is all yours, then they can help at least support the other lanes. Now we'll move on to the Schoon, I think is... I don't think I named these. Can't remember, actually. So, once again, more of a defensive ship. It's going to have more support modules. It's also got sieging. It's got pretty heavily armored. Actually, that is actually pretty heavily armored. So what you would kind of want to do is you want this... I say you want this to take damage, but the next ship we're going to look at actually has more damage, because he does have a lot of armor. So what I would do instead is try and get him to not get hit. He does have one large weapon, and then some missiles, and a fleet movement adaptation, so having one of these at least in your fleet will give you faster movement. And having one in your fleet also should give you this, which is 40 science per command point destroyed. So this is worth, oh, right here, 3 command points. So if you destroy a medium-sized ship of the enemy, you get 120 extra science. Those modules are nice. At least have one somewhere in your fleets. So the Mjolnir, I know I named that one. was, yeah, this is our combat ship for the Lumeris. Now, remind you, again, the Lumeris are meant to overwhelm in numbers from the way I've seen them playing, or at least the way I've played them, rather than in a one-on-one fight. So we've got lots of missiles, some guns, projectile damage increase, and he's pulling in the shots. Notice he has almost twice the armor that the last ship had. So him taking the shots is a much better thing because he can tank them better. Movement, always have move, in my opinion, to just keep moving quick, because otherwise it's a 2 and that's pitiful. Some shields in case we get into a bad spot, but really that's probably not the greatest idea prior to go full in one or the other. Can't split them up, but I think this provides a leave. Well, actually, that provides a good amount of defense. It's not a bad trade-off to get pretty much the same energy defense as projectile defense from one module. And movement, projectile damage, antimatter to focus the chances on him. Also, this one repairs the ship after each phase of the fight. So if you'll notice on fights, they kind of go in rounds. So that's a phase. So it repairs after each phase as well. A little expensive of a module, but it works out pretty well in those cases. Notice, once again, I'm not using the additional manpower anywhere because I siege, I don't invade. But that's really how you're going to want to play the game. It's up to how you want to play the game. So, notice we looked at Schoon, but then I also made an alternate Schoon, which is Siege. Does its job. So basically this is slower than hell, which I would actually change, but so now we've got pretty quick ship. It's 6, it's average, but it's got 5 siege modules. This thing will obliterate. I wish there was a stat somewhere that showed it, but this thing will absolutely obliterate whatever's attacking it. Or whatever planet it wants to siege. It will siege them down quick. They're not that expensive, 1850, and they've still got defensive measures, armor, and guns in case it gets drawn into an engagement in a bigger fleet. And then we have the line, aka Ship of the Line. That's why I named it that. I actually remember this guy. So he has, well, there's a special. Also, by the way, in my last video, I think I mentioned gets the core cracker only, United Empires, but it looks like core cracker is available to every faction. Maybe either gotten that wrong or an update may have changed it. So you got your movement. This guy also is supposed to pull fire because he has a bunch of armor compared to other ships. He has high attack power, but he is a glass cannon every bit of the work, because that is not much higher than the Mjolnir we looked at. Considering how much bigger the ship is and how much more expensive it is. So in this case, I gave it a gun and a missile for long range if it gets in close. But then, where these ships really shine, the big classes, is their status as a carrier. So I have 2 squadrons of fighters, 2 squadrons of bombers, and those will clean up a fight. The bombers will take care of whatever comes in your way, and the fighters will either take care of incoming fighters and bombers or incoming missiles if they don't have those. And all else fails, they'll attack the enemy ships too. So I don't remember doing that. That would be absolutely idiotic. In this case, because we already have the projectile and I didn't have all the tech unlocked in this game, so but it was my farthest in Lumeris game. So once again, just keep in mind the Lumeris really are a overwhelm them with numbers faction, because you can just buy the ships rather than manufacture them, and they are kind of glass cannons-ish. Not a lot of armor, not a lot of hull strength, but they can have high damage output. So swarm them with numbers, mix your medium ships with your large ships, and the small ships really stop having any uses in the late game except maybe the scout, the exploration ship we looked at, because that sucker can really move ahead to give you some advance warning of what's coming. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will check you all out next time.